The gleaming spires of New Geneva stretched towards the sky, a testament to humanity's progress. It was here, in this city of hope, that Earth's future would be decided. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the window of her office, her eyes fixed on the bustling streets below. In just a few hours, she would lead the human delegation in their final pitch to join the Galactic Council. "Are you ready, Madam Ambassador?" a voice called from behind her. Sarah turned to see her assistant, Tom, holding a tablet. She nodded, a mixture of excitement and nervousness churning in her stomach. "As ready as I'll ever be, Tom. This is our moment." As they walked through the corridors of the United Earth Government building, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at how far humanity had come. It was only 50 years ago that they had made first contact with alien life. Now they stood on the brink of joining the galactic community. The conference room was a hive of activity when they arrived. Representatives from every nation on Earth were present, all united in their goal. Sarah took her place at the head of the table, her posture straight and confident. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice clear and strong. "Today we make our case to the stars. Our scientists, our diplomats, our people, we've all worked tirelessly for this moment. Let's show the Council what humanity has to offer." As the meeting progressed, holographic displays flickered to life, showcasing Earth's achievements. From clean energy solutions to breakthrough medical treatments, humanity had made great strides in a short time. Meanwhile, high above the Earth's atmosphere, a different kind of meeting was taking place. The Galactic Council's envoy ship hung in orbit, its sleek design a stark contrast to the bulkier human vessels around it. Inside, Xandar, the lead council representative, listened to the human transmission with growing unease. His four eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of distress in his species. "They progress too quickly," he muttered to his second-in-command. The others were right to be concerned. "What are your orders, sir?" his subordinate asked. Xandar's inner eyelids closed briefly, a gesture of resignation. "We wait. The Council will make the final decision." Back on Earth, blissfully unaware of the doubts brewing above, humanity celebrated. News channels buzzed with excitement, social media platforms exploded with hopeful messages, and in homes across the globe, families gathered around screens to watch history unfold. In a small apartment in Tokyo, young Hiro Tanaka watched the proceedings with wide-eyed wonder. "Mom," he asked, tugging at his mother's sleeve, "do you think I'll get to visit alien planets someday?" His mother smiled, ruffling his hair. "With how things are going, Hiro, I wouldn't be surprised if you end up working on one." As the day wore on, the anticipation grew. In New York, London, Beijing, and countless other cities, people gathered in public squares, their eyes turned to the skies. Street vendors did brisk business selling alien-themed snacks and toys, while amateur astronomers set up telescopes for the public to peer at the distant envoy ship. As night fell over New Geneva, Sarah Chen finally allowed herself a moment of relaxation. She sat in her office, a cup of coffee cooling on her desk, as she reviewed the day's events. "We did well today," Tom said, his usual formality softened by exhaustion and pride. Sarah nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "We did. Now we wait for their response." Little did they know, high above them, that response was already being formulated, and it would change the course of human history forever. As Sarah gazed out at the star-filled sky, a flicker of movement caught her eye. She leaned closer to the window, squinting. "That's odd," she murmured. "What is it?" Tom asked, moving to join her. "I'm not sure," Sarah replied, a frown creasing her brow. "It almost looked like, no, that can't be right." But deep in her gut, a feeling of unease began to grow. Something wasn't right. And as the night wore on, that feeling would prove to be tragically correct. The first explosion rocked New Geneva just after midnight. Sarah Chen was jolted awake by the thunderous boom, nearly falling out of her chair. She had fallen asleep at her desk, waiting for news from the Galactic Council. What was that? Tom burst into the office, his face pale with shock. Before Sarah could answer, the night sky lit up with a blinding flash. The ambassador rushed to the window, her heart pounding. What she saw made her blood run cold. Massive ships, unlike anything Earth had ever seen, hung in the sky. Beams of searing light shot from their hulls, carving paths of destruction through the city below. "It's the Council fleet," Sarah whispered, her voice choked with disbelief. "They're attacking us." Across the globe, similar scenes of horror unfolded. In New York, the Statue of Liberty crumbled under a barrage of energy weapons. Tokyo's skyline, once a dazzling display of lights, now burned in an inferno of alien fire. Hiro Tanaka huddled in his family's bathroom, the only room without windows in their small apartment. His mother held him close, trying to shield him from the sounds of destruction outside. "Why are they doing this, Mom?" Hiro sobbed, his earlier excitement about aliens replaced by terror. His mother had no answer. She could only hold him tighter as their world fell apart around them. In orbit, Xandar watched the assault with a mix of satisfaction and regret. "It is necessary," he told himself. They were advancing too quickly. The balance must be maintained. But as he watched city after city fall, a small part of him wondered if the Council had made a terrible mistake. Back on Earth, humanity's military forces scrambled to respond. Fighter jets took to the skies, their pilots knowing they were outmatched but determined to defend their home. Navy ships launched missiles at the alien vessels, only to see them swatted away like insects. In the chaos of the attack, Sarah Chen and her team fought their way through the burning streets of New Geneva. They needed to reach the emergency bunker, to coordinate with what was left of Earth's leadership. "We trusted them," Tom shouted over the din of explosions and screams. How could they do this? Sarah had no time to ponder the betrayal. Her focus was solely on survival, not just her own, but humanity's. As they ran, a nearby building collapsed, sending a cloud of dust and debris their way. Sarah felt a sharp pain in her leg as a piece of shrapnel struck her. She stumbled, but Tom caught her before she fell. "We can't stop," she gritted through the pain. "We have to keep moving." Hours passed, and the relentless assault continued. Major cities around the world lay in ruins. Millions of lives were snuffed out in an instant, with millions more in peril. In Washington, D.C., the few government officials who had survived the initial attack gathered in a reinforced situation room deep beneath the White House. "We need to broadcast a message," the Secretary of Defense urged. "Let the people know we're still here, still fighting." The president, his face ashen and clothes covered in dust, nodded grimly. He stepped up to the camera, steeling himself to address what remained of his nation and the world. "My fellow citizens of Earth," he began, his voice shaky but resolute, "we face the greatest threat in our history, but we will not go quietly into the night. We will fight, we will survive, and we will remember." As the sun rose on a changed Earth, the full extent of the devastation became clear. Great cities had been reduced to rubble. The air was thick with smoke and the cries of the wounded. But amidst the destruction, something else was rising, a fury unlike anything humanity had ever known, a determination not just to survive, but to strike back. In the ruins of New Geneva, Sarah Chen finally reached the emergency bunker. As she limped inside, supported by Tom, she saw the faces of shell-shocked officials and civilians. "What do we do now?" someone asked, their voice small and frightened. Sarah's eyes hardened with resolve. "Now," she said, her voice carrying throughout the room, "we fight back, and we make them regret ever underestimating humanity." The days following the Galactic Council's attack were filled with shock, grief, and a growing anger that burned hotter than the fires still raging in cities around the world. Survivors emerged from the rubble, their faces streaked with dust and tears, but their eyes blazing with a newfound determination. In what remained of the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, World leaders gathered for an emergency meeting. The room, once a symbol of global cooperation, now stood as a testament to human resilience. Makeshift repairs held the building together, while the scars of the attack were still visible on the walls. Sarah Chen, her leg bandaged but her spirit unbroken, stood before the assembly. "We faced extinction," she began, her voice steady and strong. "But we're still here. We're still fighting. And now we must unite as never before." As Sarah spoke, screams around the room flickered to life, showing scenes from around the globe. In New York, volunteers cleared debris, forming human chains to rescue those still trapped. In Tokyo, doctors worked tirelessly in field hospitals, treating the wounded with whatever supplies they could scrounge. But it was in the laboratories and workshops where humanity's true response was taking shape. Scientists and engineers, many of whom had lost everything in the attack, worked around the clock. They pored over salvaged alien technology, reverse engineering weapons and defenses that might give Earth a fighting chance. In a hidden facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Emily Sato hunched over a piece of alien tech. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, but they sparkled with excitement. "I think I've cracked it," she murmured to her team. "They're shields. They're not invincible. We can beat them." As news of these breakthroughs spread, a wave of hope began to sweep across the planet. People who had been paralyzed by fear now felt a surge of determination. In town squares and refugee camps, on social media and hidden radio broadcasts, a single message echoed: "We will fight back." Hiro Tanaka, the young boy from Tokyo, stood with his mother in a crowded shelter. A battered TV showed images of human fighters preparing for battle. "Mom," he said, his voice filled with a mix of fear and resolve, "when I grow up, I want to help protect Earth." His mother hugged him tightly, tears in her eyes. "You already are, sweetheart. We all are." In military bases around the world, a new generation of weapons was being unveiled. Fighters equipped with reverse-engineered alien tech took to the skies in test flights. Soldiers trained with energy weapons, preparing for the battles to come. But it wasn't just in military might that humanity found its strength. Artists created powerful works that captured the human spirit's indomitable nature. Musicians composed anthems of resistance that played in every refugee camp and military base. Writers penned stories of hope and defiance, reminding everyone what they were fighting for. As the first month after the attack drew to a close, humanity had transformed. The grief was still there, a deep wound that would take generations to heal. But now it was coupled with a fury that burned with the intensity of 1,000 suns. In the rebuilt Oval Office, the President of the United States addressed the nation and the world. "We have been tested," he said, his voice firm and resolute. "We have been wounded, but we have not been broken. Today we stand united, not just as Americans, not just as Earthlings, but as the defenders of freedom and justice in this galaxy." As his words rang out, factories roared to life, producing the tools of resistance. Recruitment centers were flooded with volunteers, each willing to risk everything to protect their home. In orbit, the remnants of Earth's space fleet began to regroup. Captains who once competed for resources now worked in perfect harmony, forming battle strategies and defense plans. And in the stars beyond, whispers began to spread. Rumors of a planet that refused to fall, of a species that stared into the face of annihilation and didn't blink. Some dismissed these stories as fantasy. Others began to wonder, had the Galactic Council made a terrible mistake? As Sarah Chen looked out over the assembled leaders, she felt the weight of history on her shoulders. But she also felt something else: hope. "We are no longer just fighting for survival," she declared, her voice ringing with conviction. "We are fighting for our right to exist, to thrive, to show the galaxy what humanity truly is. And we will not stop until justice is served." The room erupted in cheers and applause. In that moment, the fate of the galaxy shifted. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, but they hadn't fallen. Instead, they had found their fury, their strength, and their unity. The Galactic Council's reckoning was coming. 6 months after the devastating attack, Earth was ready. The scars of destruction were still visible, but among the ruins, a new world had risen. Factories hummed day and night, producing weapons and ships that merged human ingenuity with reverse-engineered alien tech. In a secret underground base in the Sahara Desert, General Maria Rodriguez stood before a holographic display of the solar system. Her eyes, hard as flint, scanned the gathered military leaders from around the world. "Operation Prometheus begins now," she announced, her voice filled with steel. "Today, we take the fight to them." Across the globe, in hidden hangars and converted stadiums, soldiers boarded sleek new spacecraft. These weren't the clunky rockets of old, but agile fighters capable of both atmospheric and space combat. Among the pilots preparing for launch was Jake Chen, Sarah Chen's younger brother. As he strapped himself into the cockpit of his fighter, nicknamed Earthshaker, he thought of his sister working tirelessly in the diplomatic corps. "This is for you, sis," he muttered. "For all of us." High above the Earth, the remnants of humanity's orbital defenses came to life. Space stations, hastily retrofitted with new weapons, powered up their systems. They would provide cover for the first wave of the counterattack. Back in the Sahara Command Center, Dr. Emily Sado approached General Rodriguez. "The Trojan horse is ready," she said, her voice a mix of excitement and apprehension. The general nodded grimly. The Trojan horse was humanity's secret weapon, a virus designed to infect and disrupt alien systems. It was a gamble, but one they had to take. As the countdown began, a hush fell over the entire planet. In refugee camps and rebuilt cities, in underground bunkers and mountain hideouts, humanity held its breath. This was the moment that would decide their fate. Launch. General Rodriguez's command echoed across all channels. The Earth seemed to shake as thousands of fighters burst from hidden bases. They streaked into the sky, quickly forming into battle formations. Among them were larger ships carrying ground troops, ready to board and capture alien vessels. In space, the battle unfolded like a deadly dance. Human fighters, piloted by men and women fueled by righteous fury, clashed with the Galactic Council's ships. The aliens, caught off guard by the ferocity and sophistication of the attack, struggled to mount an effective defense. Jake Chen's voice crackled over the comms. "Earthshaker to control. We've breached their front lines. Moving to Phase 2. On the ground, Hiro Tanaka and his mother watched the battle unfold on screens set up in their refugee camp. The young boy's eyes were wide with a mixture of fear and hope. "Are we winning?" he asked. His mother squeezed his hand. "We're fighting," she replied. "And that's what matters." In Geneva, Sarah Chen worked furiously, coordinating with sympathetic alien races who had secretly reached out after the initial attack. "Remember," she told her team, "our fight is with the Council, not all alien life. We need allies out there." As the battle raged in space, specially trained teams boarded the alien ships. They fought their way to the central computers, uploading the Trojan horse virus. One by one, enemy ships began to falter, their systems going haywire. But the aliens weren't going down without a fight. They launched a counterattack, their superior numbers starting to tell. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed like humanity's bold strike might fail. That's when General Rodriguez gave the order: activate the Lazarus Protocol. Hidden missiles, buried in the rubble of Earth's destroyed cities, suddenly came to life. They streaked into space, catching the alien fleet in a deadly crossfire. "This is for Earth," Jake Chen yelled as he led a squadron straight into the heart of the enemy formation. The space around Earth lit up with explosions, a deadly fireworks display visible from the ground. Hours passed, the battle raging with unimaginable intensity. But slowly, surely, the tide began to turn. Alien ships, their systems crippled by the Trojan horse, fell to Earth's forces one by one. As the last enemy ship in Earth's orbit went dark, a cheer went up from every corner of the planet. They had done it. The first counterattack was a success. In the Sahara Command Center, General Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile. "Well done, everyone," she said. "But remember, this is just the beginning. We've bloodied their nose. Now we take the fight to their doorstep." As news of the victory spread, hope blossomed anew on Earth. For the first time since the devastating attack, people dared to believe that they might not just survive, but win. In space, Jake Chen looked down at the blue marble of Earth. "We're coming for you," he promised the distant stars where the Galactic Council waited. "All of us. And heaven help anyone who stands in our way." The counterattack had begun. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger, more dangerous galaxy, and they were ready for #Galactic Council Massacres millions, igniting humanity's unstoppable fury. As Earth celebrated its first major victory, a small team of human spies was already deep in enemy territory. Led by Captain Zara Malik, they had infiltrated a Galactic Council outpost on a distant moon. Zara crouched in the shadows of a massive alien structure, her heart pounding. "Team, check in," she whispered into her comms. "Alpha in position," came the quiet reply. "Beta ready," another voice confirmed. Zara took a deep breath. "Remember, our mission is to gather intel. We need to know why they attacked us, and if they've done this before." With practiced ease, the team hacked into the outpost's security systems. As alarms were silenced and cameras looped, they slipped inside. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Sarah Chen pored over reports from sympathetic alien races. Her eyes widened as she pieced together a disturbing pattern. "It's not just us," she murmured, her voice filled with shock. "They've done this before." In the alien outpost, Zara and her team made their way to the central data hub. As Beta Team stood guard, Zara and Alpha began downloading files. Suddenly, a file caught Zora's eye. "Wait," she said, her voice tight. "Look at this." The screen showed images of other worlds, devastated just like Earth. But these weren't recent. Some dated back hundreds of years. They've been doing this for centuries, Zara realized, her blood running cold. Attacking developing civilizations, keeping them in check. As more data poured in, a sinister picture emerged. The Galactic Council wasn't a benevolent governing body. It was a group of advanced races that systematically suppressed emerging civilizations to maintain their power. Back on Earth, Sarah Chen burst into the war room, her face pale. "We've got it all wrong," she announced to the gathered leaders. "The Council, they're not just our enemies. They're the enemies of progress itself." She laid out the evidence gathered from both their spies and allied races. The room fell silent as the true scale of the Council's crimes became clear. General Rodriguez was the first to speak. "So it's not just about saving Earth," she said slowly. "It's about freeing the galaxy." In the alien outpost, Zora's team finished their download. But as they prepared to leave, disaster struck. An alien guard, off his usual patrol route, stumbled upon them. Alarms blared. "Run," Zara yelled, firing her weapon to cover her team's retreat. They raced through the corridors, alien guards hot on their heels. Beta teams split off, drawing some of the pursuers away. Zara and Alpha made it to their hidden ship, but Beta was nowhere in sight. "We can't leave them," Alpha protested. Zara gritted her teeth. "And we won't," she said, powering up the ship's weapons. In a daring rescue, they swooped back, laying down cover fire as Beta teams sprinted aboard. As soon as they were in, Zara punched the throttle, and the ship shot into space. But their troubles weren't over. Council ships were already moving to intercept. "Hold on," Zara called, pushing the ship to its limits. They weaved through asteroid fields and executed impossible maneuvers, slowly losing their pursuers. Finally, they made the jump to hyperspace. As the stars blurred around them, the team let out a collective breath. "We did it," Alpha said, his voice filled with awe. "We got the intel." Zara nodded, her face grim. And now we know the truth. The Council isn't just our enemy. They're the enemy of every developing race in the galaxy. As their ship raced back to Earth, Zura knew that this information would change everything. The war wasn't just about human survival anymore. It was about liberating the galaxy from centuries of oppression. On Earth, as the full implications of the intel became clear, a new resolve settled over humanity. They had started this fight to defend their home. Now, they would finish it to free the stars. Sarah Chen, standing before the United Earth government, summed it up best. We are no longer just the defenders of Earth. We have become the protectors of progress, the champions of freedom for all species. The Galactic Council's reign of terror ends with us. Whatever came next. The revelation of the Galactic Council's true nature sparked a fire across the galaxy. Humanity, once fighting alone, now found itself at the center of a growing rebellion. Species that had long suffered under the Council's oppression reached out, offering alliance and support. On the bridge of the UES Defiant, Earth's most advanced warship, Admiral Jake Chen surveyed the assembled fleet. Ships of various designs and origins floated in formation, a testament to the new galactic alliance. All ships report ready. Admiral, his XO announced. Jake nodded, his face set with determination. Then let's make history. All ships. Commence Operation Liberator. Across the fleet, engines flared to life. In a dazzling display of coordination, hundreds of ships jumped into hyperspace, bound for the first of the Council's core worlds. Back on Earth, in the war room of the United Earth government, Sarah Chen watched the operation unfold on massive screens. Her diplomatic skills had been crucial in forging the alliance, and now she held her breath as the plan she helped create was put into action. The fleet dropped out of hyperspace on the edges of the Proxima system, home to one of the Council's largest shipyards. Alarms blared across the planet as the defenders scrambled to respond. They're caught off guard, Jake observed. Just as we hoped. All ships engage as planned. And remember, we're here to liberate, not annihilate. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ingenuity combined with alien technologies created strategies the Council had never encountered. Fighters darted between capital ships, deploying EMPs and computer viruses alongside traditional weapons. On the planet's surface, drop ships landed with precision. Teams of human and alien soldiers worked in perfect sync, targeting key facilities and freeing enslaved populations. Among them was Captain Zura Malik, leading a mixed squad of humans and Centauri. They fought their way into the central control hub of the shipyards. Plant the package, Zara ordered as her team secured the room. A Centauri tech specialist stepped forward, connecting a device to the main computer. Within moments, the entire shipyard system was under their control. Control, this is Groundhog, Zara reported. Package delivered. Shipyards are ours. Similar reports flooded in from across the planet. In orbit, the Council's fleet was in disarray, caught between the attacking forces and suddenly rebellious station defenses. Admiral Chen's voice rang out across all channels. Attention, forces of the Galactic Council. Your reign of tyranny ends today. Surrender, and you will be treated fairly. Resist, and you will fall. One by one, enemy ships powered down their weapons. The Proxima system, for centuries a bastion of the Council's power, fell in less than a day. As news of the victory spread, more worlds rose up against their oppressors. The Council, for the first time in its long history, found itself on the defensive. In the following weeks, the Alliance liberated system after system. Each victory brought new allies, new technologies, and new hope. On a liberated world, a young alien child approached a human soldier. "Are you really from Earth?" it asked in halting English. The soldier knelt down, smiling. "I am. And we're here to help." The child's eyes widened. The stories are true then. Earth really did stand up to the Council. "We did," the soldier nodded. "And now we're making sure no one else has to suffer like we did." Back on the Defiant, Admiral Chen received a priority communication from Earth. Sarah's face appeared on the screen, beaming with pride and excitement. "Jake, you won't believe this," she said. "We've just received word from the Andromeda Galaxy. They've heard about our fight against the Council, and they want to join the Alliance." Jake's eyes widened. Andromeda. But that's millions of light years away. Sarah nodded. "It seems our little rebellion has inspired hope far beyond our wildest dreams. The Council's influence stretched further than we knew, but so does the desire for freedom." As the implications sank in, Jake realized that this war had become something far greater than they ever imagined. Humanity, in its darkest hour, had not only saved itself, but had ignited a spark of liberation that was spreading across the universe. "Well, sis," he said with a grin, "looks like we've got our work cut out for us. Tell Andromeda we'll be there as soon as we mop up things here." As the communication ended, Jake looked out at the stars. What had started as a fight for survival had become a crusade for galactic freedom. And humanity was leading the charge. 5 years had passed since the war began. The galaxy, once cowering under the Galactic Council's iron fist, now breathed the fresh air of freedom. The final battle was at hand. Above the Council's home world, a massive fleet assembled. Ships from 1,000 worlds, led by humanity's finest, prepared for the last push. On the bridge of the flagship Terra Invicta, Admiral Jake Chen stood tall. "All fleets report ready, Admiral," his XO announced. Jake nodded, his eyes fixed on the planet below. "Then let's finish this. For Earth, for freedom, for the future. All ships, commence final attack." The battle that followed was fierce but short. The Council, its power broken by years of rebellion, could not withstand the united forces of a free galaxy. As the dust settled, Sarah Chen walked through the halls of the former Council chamber, now transformed into the meeting place for the new Galactic Alliance. Representatives from countless worlds filled the room, their chatter a mix of excitement and apprehension. Sarah took her place at the center. As Earth's ambassador and one of the key architects of the Alliance, she had the honor of opening the first session. "Friends, allies, fellow beings of the galaxy," she began, her voice carrying across the chamber. "Today marks a new beginning. No longer will any species live in fear of oppression. Together, we will build a future of peace, progress, and mutual respect." The chamber erupted in cheers. Species that once cowered at the mention of Earth now looked to humans as leaders and friends. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Hiro Tanaka, now a young man, stood before a memorial in Tokyo. The names of millions lost in the initial attack were etched in stone. He placed a flower at the base, remembering the day that changed everything. "We did it, Mom," he whispered. "We didn't just survive. We made the galaxy a better place." In orbit, the Terra Invicta prepared for a special mission. Admiral Chen watched as a group of scientists made final adjustments to a massive device. "The galactic beacon is ready, sir," one of them reported. Jake smiled. "Activated." With a hum of power, the beacon came to life. It would broadcast Earth's message of peace and unity across the universe, reaching even to distant Andromeda. On a once-oppressed world, Captain Zura Malik helped locals rebuild their civilization. As she worked alongside alien friends, she marveled at how far they had come. "Did you ever imagine this when we first fought back?" a Centauri asked her. Zara shook her head, smiling. "Never. But I'm glad we dared to dream." In the council chamber, now renamed the Hall of Unity, Sarah concluded her speech. "Let this be the dawn of a new era. An era where the light of freedom and cooperation shines across the stars." As the delegates rose in a standing ovation, Sarah's thoughts drifted to the millions lost, to the hardships endured. Their sacrifice had paved the way for this moment. The session adjourned, and Sarah stepped out onto a balcony overlooking the alien capital. The sky was filled with ships from across the galaxy, a testament to their united strength. Her brother's voice came through her comm. Quite a few, sis. Sarah smiled. It's beautiful, Jake. Hard to believe it all started with us fighting for survival. And now look at us. Jake chuckled. Guardians of galactic peace. As they spoke, on countless worlds, beings of all shapes and sizes looked up at their skies with hope. The story of Earth's defiance, of humanity's indomitable spirit, had become legend. In schools across the galaxy, young beings learned of how a single planet, pushed to the brink of extinction, rose up and changed the course of history. Earth was no longer just a blue marble in space. It was a symbol of courage, unity, and the unquenchable thirst for freedom. As the sun set on the Council's former capital, Sarah Chen looked to the stars. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and challenges, but with unity, with the spirit that had brought them this far, she knew they could face anything. The Galactic Council had sought to crush humanity. Instead, they had unleashed a force that reshaped the universe, a force of hope, of fury, of undying resolve, a force that would echo through the cosmos for eons to come. Humanity had not just survived, they had thrived, and in doing so, had lifted entire civilizations with them. The future, bright and full of promise, awaited.